Look out, I put a roof rack on the Tesla Juniper. Today's video, how I did it, where I got it from, and is it safe? So per usual, I'll start you out with the unboxing. I got this from TesStudio, and it has everything I've gotten from them, which is dozens of accessories. It all comes really well packaged. Got your racks, your ends, your little bumpers, and that little cool thing. I'll get to that at the end, some hardware and some stickers. Today I'll be walking you through step by step how to install a roof rack here on the new Model Y Juniper. Now this is pretty important because you can screw this up and actually potentially damage the glass on this vehicle. In fact, YouTube and TikTok are filled with examples of people that screwed these up. Now there is a theory out there, if you don't put Tesla brand roof racks, you will or you'll risk ruining this piece of glass. Because what I have today is not a Tesla brand roof rack. Now to be honest, I initially planned doing a comparison to this model to an actual Tesla model I put on my legacy Model Y, but as you can see here, it had a little accident a couple weeks back, and I did just find out this vehicle is total. If you want to hear more about it, subscribe to the channel because I have a whole video that's coming out in the next week or so where I'll talk about the breakdown, how long I had it, what was good for me, would I do it again, am I happy about it, am I sad about it, and then what's next. Now this process is very simple and only requires one 10mm wrench, which actually is included in this particular kit that I got from TesStudio. Now at first glance, these two racks look indistinguishable, but when you look closely, they do have little labels on them. As you can see here, this one says LR. That is for left rear. Now the directions are as if you're driving the car. So left would be here on the driver's side, right would be over here on the passenger side, then obviously front and rear. So the fact that this one says LR is just that, it's left rear. Next, I'll talk about where to position these on the roof, and it is really important you get these right because the angle of your glass is not totally straight. It changes because the back of your car is going to get smaller as it goes in. It's going to get widest at the middle of the car, and then it's going to go get smaller again as it goes back toward the top. So if you don't get these exactly right, that's one of the ways you risk of actually cracking this glass. Now the benefit is Tesla in the newer models shows you on the glass exactly where to put it, but you have to look closely. All right, so I'm going to show you how to exactly find that spot. So on the top of the car, it's actually below the layer of glass. You're going to see a little arrow. Let me zoom in and show you. All right, so here's the top of the car, and I don't really see anything right away because my windshield is dirty. But as I look a little bit closer, I'm going to see a little caret here and then two lines. So let me take a wet paper towel, kind of clean this up, then I'll dry it with a dry one here. And now with it dry, you're going to see there quite a bit more clear those little lines I'm talking about. Which again are a little hidden. You only see them when you're up close, right up next to it. So I'm going to go to all four of the corners of the car and clean that little spot so I know right where I'm setting these first. And the second reason you want to really make sure you're putting these in the right spot is the reason you're putting roof racks is because eventually you're going to store cargo up on those racks. Whether it's a box or a ski racks, all those we'll get into here in a minute. But if these are not at the right spots, then the cargo you put on these racks won't set level. If you put these too far to the front, they're going to tilt forward to the back, they're going to tilt back. Or if you get them too far apart, they're not going to support your cargo right. Or potentially, if something like a roof box, it won't line up enough for where your clasps are going to set. Placement of these racks is really important. Then the third reason you want to be really careful to get these in the right spot is to make sure they're actually square with one another, left or right. Another way you can easily break this glass, if you have one of these steps positioned a little forward than the back one, and then your racks are at a V, right? They're not the right angle. If you then put cargo on that, the cargo is going to want to continually to square itself, and you could potentially cause these little brackets going to go down underneath this glass to move and vibrate, and that's how you end up with a shattered ceiling. Now, one of the next steps is it gives you a little sticker sheet where you can go around the car, and they're actually marked which wheel they go on to kind of let you see where you're going to put the next bracket. Now, I've put maybe a dozen of these on different cars, 2 or 3 on my own over the past 4, 5, 6 years. I don't use these stickers. I don't think you need to. In fact, I can actually make a good argument these actually make the process more complicated. But if you grab a set of these on, the instruction manual does show you where to put these, and you're welcome to use it. I actually just think it makes it harder and it's not necessary. All right, so your next step is you have a little piece of hardware like this. You actually have 4 of these. They're identical. Now, the whole idea behind this is this little thing. I'll show you how it's going to hook underneath the glass, and then your little rack is going to go on top of this, and then a nut's going to hold it down. And just like everything I keep saying throughout this process, if you screw up how or where you put this in, you are greatly increasing the chance of you shattering the roof of your car. So your kit's going to come with a little trim tool that you will partially take advantage of, and if it's all you have, it'll work, because you're going to have to pry up some little weather stripping here. Now, I have found that the weather stripping on most of these cars is actually pretty tight, and it really helps if you have a razor blade, you can get down and behind there to help get it up. So this is the top of the passenger side. You can see here, there's my little mark that I'm going into. So I'll be taking this little hardware here, and I'm going to be flipping underneath here. So I got to get underneath this little part of the weather stripping here. So if you just use the tool they included, you can see here, it's a little difficult. How do you get underneath that weather stripping? That's where I think it's really helpful to have a knife. This little blade of this knife is going to get underneath the little edge of this leather stripping just a little bit better, and that kind of opens it up and gives you path to slide that little hardware underneath. And here's another angle of sliding this little knife in and pulling that stripping back and actually putting this little U-bracket in. And that is important that you get underneath this. If you bunch this up, it's not going to set right. And again, if you go over the top of it, this metal is going to be sitting right on the glass. And so when this tightens down, you're putting a pressure point right in one spot. Next thing you know, you're going to spider web across the car. It's also of note to kind of show here, as I try to slide this back and forth, is it really limits where you're putting it in. So if I tried to put this in farther up here, there's literally not a gap for it to go into, and just kind of shows you where you can't really screw this up too bad no matter what. Then I'm going to go repeat that same process on all 4 of the corners. Next step, you're going to take little rubber bumpers that look like this, and that little hole in them is going to slide down right over the top of that little screw thread you just put in. Now these, just like the racks themselves, are actually labeled. This one here has an LR, which you see is going to stand for left rear. Again, left is if you're driving the car, so driver's side rear. And as you can see, these little bumpers are contoured to the exact shape of the car. So when these go on over top of that little thread, they're going to fit really flush. So now when the rack sets on top of this, it has this thick rubber to set on where it's not putting pressure on the car itself or on that glass. And again, I'm going to go around, put these in place on all 4 corners. And once you have these on all 4 corners like here, then it's a matter of just taking the roof racks and setting them on the place. And another benefit of these little bumpers, they have those little cutouts on them. Those are going to fit perfectly the bottom side of this rack. So when these go on, they're not going to be able to slide around. And again, these rubber bumpers are unique to the actual rail itself, so they only fit on the exact spot. And these are a specialty nut, nothing too crazy, but they have a little piece of vinyl in there. That's what that blue color is, and that just makes it kind of like a locking nut, so it's not going to unthread its way out as you're going down the bumps of the road. So as you can see there's just one nut and bolt on each anchor point, so 4 in all, and I'm just getting these hand tight at first. And then once you have all these in place, you can use the little included 13mm wrench they give you to put these on, or if you got somewhere to be, you can use a drill. There's 4 of these nuts in all to put on, 1 in each corner of each rack. And again, they're all 10mm bolts, which makes it really simple. But if you are going to use a drill like I just did, it helps you have a little bit of familiarity with that tool and knowing when to stop, because you could very easily over tighten these. And again, as I mentioned before, it could end up with a shattered roof. Don't do that. And then lastly, you have these little end plate covers, which is going to snap on and hide all that ugly. And just like everything else, these are labeled LR, which means left rear, which is my back passenger door. And these do just clip on, but I found out it is helpful to put the top in first. Before I leave you, I did want to point out this little thing. This came with the roof racks, which is pretty cool because I've always bought these for cars I have in the past. What this does is it has this actual little hook here, which hooks to the door latch of your vehicle. Just about every vehicle I've ever seen, including this Model Y, has this little latch. And when this little thing hooks on there, it actually acts as a step. And as you'll see here, you can actually stand on this and it'll support a full person's body weight. As you can see, as I bounce up and down, I'm shaking the whole car, not budging the little latch itself. And it really makes this a whole lot easier to access whatever you put up top. And if this roof rack is something you're interested in, I'll leave the link down in the description below. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.